people come in for a little bit. So yeah, you also have to like wait for a couple of seconds, and that's what I've learned. But so like just basically trying to how do you call it?
I'm
trying to not working.
I don't really see you like.
Yeah.
You have to like if you do it like that, you have to like I don't know, unlock your your screen orientation kind of thing.
But with the Zoom is automatic. I only need to move. It's because the mic is here. Is why I wanted to move. But it's okay. I can hold. So it's only 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
No pressure.
We just had. I'll time myself for 15 minutes, and then I'll let you go, and then otherwise you'll get a stiff hand, or like your hand will get carpal tunnel syndrome. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us right after the day one of the third meeting of the Facilitative Working Group on a local communities and Indigenous Peoples platform. It was a long day. We had 3.5 hours, well, over 3 hours at least, to talk a little bit about, like the third meeting. Much was on the agenda. Unfortunately, this was virtual, no in-person meetings because of COVID-19. I'm very, very, very happy and humbled to be joined by two of the members, Estebancio and Hindou, two very good friends of mine. So it's always a very good sight to see them. Doesn't matter what meeting we are in, and also to see them in like representative roles, of course. UNFCCC, local communities in these people platform. So let's jump right into it. Hindou, Estebancio, we started off with election of new co-chairs. Majid and Passan were the first ones, first co-chairs. Majid from the state side and Passan from the indigenous side. And then they were their incumbents were Yao Mulalap from Federated States of Micronesia. Apologies for that, Yao. And Andrea Carmen from the North American region. So guys, what do you think? Like the first 1 year of Facilitative Work Group, what are your observations? And then what do you expect from the new co-chairs? Let's go, let Hindou go first.
Please.
Thank you very much, Ghazali. It's really nice to see both of you, Estebancio and you, Ghazali, and on live in this. Even the most hard is being virtually. It's really challenging for all of us. And as I'm coming from my community, I do not used to be really just in the screen because I feel bad on this way. I wanted to talk to people, to chat with them, to drink with them, eat with them. So this is really my first comment. I wanted to express that to all those who are watching us. And secondly, I hope also all my brothers and sisters, indigenous communities, all we are doing well, and that we will face all this difficult time together, even virtually or spiritually. We know how to do that. Coming to your questions, I really would like to thank and give all my recognition to Passan as Indigenous Peoples co-chair that we have elected her for the 1 year term. And with the COVID, she went a little bit over the 1 year, but it's have been very nice experience to have her as co-chair. And having Majid from the government also as one of the co-chairs have been a very good experience. It's the first time, but the 1 year went very quickly. There was a lot of things to do. We didn't expect to have a lot of work, but we started to implement the work plan. So that was really a good phase. And we did it together under the leadership of them as co-chairs. And we had like official or just a personal chat with them to discuss and see how we will move forward with the facilitative working group and how we can implement the activities of the local communities and indigenous people platform. So that have been very good experience. I really thanks both of them, and I wish that they will be there to continue as members with all of us. For the new upcoming, we have Andrea, nominated by the Indigenous Peoples, and of course Jen. And then as the second supporting. And then we have Clement Yao also, who is really an indigenous brother for me. He is representing from the government, but for me, he's really a brother because he understands all what we are doing, and he's coming also from indigenous communities. So I'm looking for a new leadership where we already have the first experience, and this second one maybe drive us to the new step, because normally we have 3 years of sit there, and each year we change a co-chair. And that's also to give the opportunity to all the regions or to all the different leadership to come up and lead on all the implementation of the activities. And finally, we learn from the first facilitative working group co-chairs, because when we try to coordinate, we come up with both of them coming from Asia. Then in the criteria, we said we need a gender balance, we need a regional balance, and all coming in a different way. So that's helped us when we come to the second co-chairs. We nominate our co-chairs as indigenous peoples, and we communicate that to the government. And then from the government, they decided to nominate someone from another regions. So that's why we come up with, we have North America and we have Pacific. And for me, it's very great because I'm always looking for the justice, for the equality. And we have developed regions and developing regions. We have women and we have men, and then we have 2 different experiences that's coming together. So it will be a great leadership that looking forward for the implementation. Thank you.
Estebancio, what are you expecting from, and like you guys were in the not negotiation, but a conversation about who's going to be the co-chair. What do you expect Andrea and Jane to bring to the table in their new leadership roles?
I think that just to say hi to everybody. I think or we will have some people watching us. Thing is that I think that we have our own private meeting as Indigenous Peoples Facilitative working group member. And I think that, well, this is a self-nomination. People who have facilities, because as our sisters say, it's very difficult in our communities. Even that I live in the city, for me, it's difficult to take this role because, as you saw, well, I think you were
in and out,
and went and out, and most of the time go like this. Now imagine in the community. So that's one thing that we challenge in this kind of meeting virtually. I think that we want to have many people really from the grassroots level really putting input in this kind of process. That's one thing that I think that is important. Talking about then we take this into consideration, that we know that Andrea having a good technology. I don't know whether she know the use, but she has technology.
Yeah.
That's good things. US and more easy than us, but for me it's difficult. And also we also taking into account that Jane is a young fella, a young sister that we have. I think that we're thinking in the future, maybe the facility working group only gonna be for 2 periods, but anyway, but the other processes will continue. And I think that why not having Andrea as a teacher, follow her and learn a little bit more. I think that that's what we seen, like a knowledge transfer in this process from the elder to the new generation that is coming. That's one thing. What we
I think that's a very good thing, combining like the emerging leader with the people that are already in the field. I think that's a very good consideration, and thank you so much for that, for bringing that to the international stage. Let's jump right into Facilitative Working Group. The platform has 3 functions, 12 activities. So we started talking about like the first 3 activities today. Something that struck me, not surprisingly, but what's a concern to me is that we are going to stick to the schedule as originally planned. Not many activities have been able to be developed or been done during this year. How do you look at that? Because we only have 2 years, and then we have a review year. and then we're going back into negotiations for another work plan. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm really concerned about that. I think that when we talk about maintaining the original timeline of the activities or of the proposals, that means we are not the only one who have the activities. There are other kind of activities. How are we gonna really complement the work that has been done by others, and then we have our own work plan that need to be implemented or developed, because we're still working on this. That's one thing. It was because I went on and off, and some stuff I couldn't. One thing that I asked to the secretariat is that why we are in a hurry. You know, I mean, we have difficulties with the COVID-19. Everybody understand, but if we're gonna maintain this, that means that activity number 2 never gonna be happening, because one, we need to fundraise. So every region can have the presence of the indigenous traditional order knowledge. So because as I say to them, I mean, we know that our elder, they have their own ceremony, and you cannot do this by virtually. And you know that as our sister saying, we want to see people. It's not the same when you are one of the person that you know better than us. You cannot negotiate with people that you are not watching. For example, one of my concern on this is that we talking from the indigenous peoples. We didn't have a part of the open ceremony parties representative making comment or supporting or saying, yes, I was part of this, and we really support from the regions. So that's concern me. That's because I'm thinking, what's going to happen when we take this to SABSTA level? Are they not going to support? It's not that we're not going to have. It's the thing is maybe not going to happen. So that's one concern that I had in that processes. I would like to see more open and transparent from all of us, or at least say, yes, we support activity 3, we support the Africa, say we support Sister Hindou, who is doing great job, and they have a document. I mean, we have seen the presentation that Hindou had about the traditional knowledge, about the transferring technology from indigenous peoples. And then we need this contribution be recognized by the rest of the world, that know that indigenous peoples are doing the work and continue doing the work. But if we don't have support from the region, from the parties, of the big NGOs, I mean, then it's going to be difficult, and it's not going to happen. For example, if we're talking about having a activity 2, having a meeting regionally, and if we don't have money, we cannot have it. So that's one thing that I think that we should highlight probably again tomorrow, because I know that in other activity is related. For example, tomorrow probably we're gonna be talking about the report back from the parties about the monitoring policies existing regarding to the indigenous peoples. And then, as I say, we have examples from Hindou, as I said today, why not taking into account the indigenous protocol, community protocol that exists? Why we need to go all the time with WIPO, UNESCO, which I have big concern, because as you know, they always talking about the branding, marketing, it's a business as usual. But if we have indigenous people, like let's say in Kunalan we have a protocol about the indigenous knowledge. It's not a perfect, but it's a protocol. Supposedly, is what I was saying, CBD, through the Nagoya Protocol, was gonna have a protocols, community protocols. That's one of the things that they, the commitment that they have. But if you read the national reports back to them, they are not reporting that they are doing this or not, or what happening really. So we really need, of course, CBD, as our brothers send some information, always say, well, we have a guidelines, we have a voluntary guidelines, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's cool. But we have to understand Hindou, I'm using her because and I haven't had a chance to mention for many months. For example, we cannot have probably the same community protocol because she's pastoralist and I'm from the jungle. So we always gonna have differences adapted to our realities. You know, maybe yes, maybe a Hindu could take some ideas of our protocol, but not entirely because it's gonna be difficult to apply in the community because they have different ways to do that. But maybe can adapt, maybe can use some principles and with the same thing. I mean, the technology that they have about the water system and stuff and indigenous knowledge, I think that should be great. I mean, I should go over there and check it out myself. That's great. Take note, but I know that it's not going to be possible to take everything from there because we have different environment, we have different principles, but we all are indigenous peoples. But we cannot put everybody in the same package. Yet I think that that's one thing that concerns me when people talk about the free, prior, informed consent. Everybody in the same packet, and that's gonna be difficult. You cannot do that. You know, it is why people realize Nagoya Protocol. They need to have community protocol. Then they can apply. If I go and take note to the Hindu community gonna tell me, Estebancio, that's the protocol. You have to follow this protocol. And I have to do because it's the community. But the community say to have the free, prior, informed consent from somewhere else, from a UN agency, it's not the same. Because the community hasn't put their ideas or what they really want to protect. And I think that we always, I'm sorry. I know that I only have 15 minutes.
No, that's okay.
So that's the things that I think that we really need to have discussion, and virtually you cannot do that. You know, it's what say our sister. I'm not seeing faces.
Totally agree. I think you are completely right. Some of the activities that they say, oh, we have to continue and doing it, I do not see that because all the activities you propose are not only a paper or a report. So they are physical meetings, and especially you give the right example is the activity number 2. That's why we all as indigenous representatives, we agree to postpone this activity because we cannot do that virtually. We need to do our connection to the nature, to the land, to the territories. We need this respect between us and our elders. We don't want to have it for those who are attending the UN meetings. We want that to be to the communities who really own the land, the resources, who knows about it, to be part of the discussions. That's why we wanted to have it regionally, not just like globally to make fly peoples. And this activity, we cannot do that. If COVID went over 2021, we need to postpone it again. Because this one, it's urgent, of course, but it is not so urgent than do not connect people and do it virtually. So that's why I'm totally agree with Brother Esteban. If they wanted to do a website, fine, because website is the UN is virtual, it's whatever. They can use the existing WIPO, UNESCO, whatever, to put a general gathering to just start this work. But to take the knowledge, I give you the example from my communities, all the knowledge that I'm sharing, we do have a lot of knowledge observing the nature, the flowers, the trees, I give those general ideas. I give them that. Yes, if the wind come from south, from the north, but if they didn't come to my land, It is not the same wind that we have in Europe, or it is not the same wind that we have in Kunayala Island, because I visited Kunayala Island. I stayed there. I knew how it worked. It is not the same wind that's there. So we can share the general information, but we cannot share the detailed information of the knowledge of our communities. It is owned by the communities. And also, I mean, one of the discussions when you spoke, Estebancio, is reminding me, one community leaders, it was from Latin America. They work for scientist organizations, and they did a prayer. And then the scientist, a person that recorded the prayers, and at least she called me to say, like, I'm so happy that I assist to the prayers. I record it. It's very important. I put that in my website, and we are sharing it. I immediately, I'm not from the Latin America. I don't know this person at all, this chief who make the prayer at all. I stand up, I tell her, stop, you have to take it off from your website. She said, I get the consent from the person who did the prayer. I'm like, yes, you did the consent from the person. You get it from the person. But it is not the individual knowledge. It is the community knowledge. When he did prayer, he didn't do the prayer for himself. He did the prayer for the community, for the land, for the territories, for the resources. Maybe you have been nice to the person. He said, yes, go ahead, record it. But is it the consent of the community? I say no. So you need to understand how our peoples work, how the consent in our communities, each of them apply. And at least she has been very understand person. She take it off, and I ask her to go back to the communities to discuss with them, to put a protocol written down from the communities, what they wanted to share, what they don't want to share. So just so to make her avoid if someone else from the community come and say, why you put our knowledge there? So she have no right to put it. So I think we need to protect each other from each community. Our knowledge are not like a chocolate that you can share in the website or in the internet. Our knowledge are so deep, so in connection with our traditions, and that cannot be in the internet to share through this work. And at the other hand, like the work, the activity 9, that's related to the revision of the National Adaptation Plan, or the NDCs, that is going on. The government is going to take the decision. So we are not going to be left behind. We will be there and tell them to help the analysis, because those are just a document analysis, the existing document. It is not the new, it is not from our community. And tell them that we have this and you have to respect it. You have to make the consultation with our communities. So there are some activities that we can agree to move forward. But others activities, there is no way. If we do not meet each other physically, those activities cannot be relevant for our peoples. And we don't want to make the mistake of business as usual. Always we have indigenous people around the tables, and just a check box. We don't want it to be the check box. We wanted to do this specific work who respond to the needs of our communities. And that's why I'm totally agree with my brother Estebancio. We need to meet each other. Maybe it can take time, but if we didn't meet each other, we will make the work in our communities. We will not give up, but it has to happen physically.
All right. Finally, Estebancio, Hindou, I know you have to step away because you already been in a very long meeting. What can we expect tomorrow? It's a 3-day meeting. Today was the first day. Tomorrow, second day. What can people expect? And what are we going to talk about? And what do they need to think about when they listen?
I think that we have in the continuing with the activities. So I think that activities number 5, 6, 7 probably we will have in the morning. And I think that in order to understand, people need to read and see whether they can make a comment. And or because now the chat is open, people can write whatever if they want to highlight whatever they want to see. For example, I think that Hindou already highlighted about the national determined contribution from the parties. And one thing I think that is important as I say, I really don't know how many people really we have. Today we were 100.
Yeah.
Out of us, we are 7 indigenous people, but we know that there are a few other people that we know that are indigenous peoples. But now, I don't know whether we have, in my case, in Latin America, whether we have a Brazilian, whether we have a Peruvian, whether we have a Chilean. I mean, you really don't know because you don't see the names. Also, you can see the name, but you have to go and check it out. That's the issue that we have in that facing that also difficulties for us, because if we have people from the national level, let's say from Guatemala, for example, one of my sisters couldn't join because of difficulties with the internet, and I sent to see the YouTube, but she cannot make a comment. You know, because from the YouTube you cannot make a comment, but you have to be in the Zoom register to make a comment. Then that's having difficulty. So I was expecting that we have other indigenous peoples from the national level participating and highlighting about the national determined contributions and say that's true or not true. Because one thing, as our sisters say, is to report, is to write, but who can say if not, it's not or yes, it's us. We are the one who knows if our countries are doing the work or just on the paper.
Yeah,
so
like there's a point for indigenous peoples to participate in international decision making. This is the moment for indigenous peoples in terms of climate change. You can directly intervene. Yeah. Sorry, Estebancio.
No. It's fine. It's fine. I think that you're right. No, my face changed because the telephone just sent me that my battery is getting low. I'm having difficulties here. So yeah, I need to connect to it. But anyway, you're right. You're right. This is the processes that we really need to push and maintain that proposal, recommendation can be considered in SAFTA, even directly to the COP. Really, yeah. I mean, would be great. For example, I think that we are one of the group that having a facility with our own country. In case of Panama, we can just knock out and say, well, you are not doing really good report. I don't think that you can say that. And then they can take into account and they say, okay, we can change and we can do this on this instead of saying that. But how many countries have that kind of facility with their own indigenous peoples? Because other countries, other states, they just see indigenous people. Don't have any time. So but now this is the opportunity openly. Our brother and sister around the world could say, that's what we would like to see in the NDC's report. It's why I think that you remember, we always say that would be great to have shadow report. So indigenous people have their own report and say, this is what really happening and realistically back home. And not just accept because state parties just decided to put their report and put nicely everything. Because nothing is nicely. No, I mean, everything is not nice. So I think that's I expecting, as I said, it's not enough time. That's another challenge. We only have 3 hours. And activities, if we really start making a comment, look at this, I'm talking more than here than the Facilitative Working Group itself. Can you imagine if I talk like this and Hindou also do the same thing? We just gonna, how you say, the time is gonna go off. So that's the other thing. It's not the same having 3 days meeting, but having 8 hours meeting and watching people, the movement, and consulting with the rest of the group. Now it's very difficult for me send a message to Hindou. Hindou, what do you think this? I am not quite happy with this. But if we were in the presence, I probably go, sister, what do you think on this? Because it's a direct contact. It's what I think that we need to understand. I mean, especially the parties or the UNFCCC, that importance. I know that we are in pandemic. I can accept that, but we cannot continue doing these kind of things for many other issues that is important for indigenous peoples, and not easily to make decision in something that could affect to our communities.
Totally, I guess.
Hindou,
So
yeah, go ahead.
Just quickly, I think what I expect tomorrow, it's also what all my brother Estebancio said. And in addition, I expect the reaction of the government representative who attending this meeting, because we don't want to have the meeting between indigenous peoples or between indigenous peoples and the NGOs that working on with indigenous peoples or UN agencies. The government who are present there, I count some of them are there. They need to react, because it is not a platform for only us. It is a platform for all over the world. So that's why we have the equal representations. It is not only the discussions also of the representative. The other observer, we need them to talk. So I'm really looking forward to hear from the state representative there to say they are agree or they do not agree. We can change and try to move forward all together. And secondly, I'm also expecting that tomorrow the report we are giving activities can be analyzed before. We have all the information in the website, as also Estebancio said, the concept note and all. They can look at it and come back with the comments, how we can do, how we can move forward. And if we need to postpone, all the public have the right to say, maybe new facilitative working group, we propose to you to postpone these activities or to go ahead with these activities, because it is not only us, it is all of us together. So we need to decide that in the same level. And we need to see that we are not only speaking in one region, we speak in all the indigenous peoples, coming from 7 regions all together. So it doesn't matter if they wanted to give comments from Africa, they are not from Africa, they can do it. So we are all indigenous. We are all talking about our land, territories, and resources with the differences that we have, but with the commonality that we do have. So I'm looking forward for tomorrow discussion and hope that after the discussion, we will come back and try to evaluate what we learn, how we put it together, how we can move forward. So thank you very much, Estebancio and Ghazali.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Hindou and Estebancio, for your time. I know it's been a long day for you guys. Yeah, if you have time, I would love to have do the same thing today and do that tomorrow, and hopefully the day after tomorrow as well. So we can have a lot of analysis with other indigenous peoples that are not able to join the Zoom, not able to watch it on YouTube, to see what the context is and what are indigenous people's actual views are. Thank you so much for your time, for you guys. And so everyone, so tomorrow from 4 p.m. Germany time until 7 p.m. Germany time as well. We'll probably go a little bit over, but immediately after that, 10 or 15 minutes after that, we'll do another post-game analysis of the 3rd meeting of the Facilitative Work Group. Estebancio, Hindou, thanks again so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And everyone
have
else,
a good
thank you so much for
evening,
watching.
both of you.
Yeah, man. You too, man.